Hey folks, today is Friday, April 21st, 2017. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino. I ate a 7-Eleven burrito for breakfast. Feel like I'm gonna die, but we have to talk about video game stuff that is going on this week. First things first, with a release from Epic and Unreal. That's pretty interesting. Epic has released a quote-unquote photorealistic character sample of a character model rendered in Unreal Engine 4. There's a video available. Interesting enough, it's only 1080p, and a lot of people aren't really impressed with this. It's photorealistic, yes, but he still looks kinda in the uncanny valley. We've actually seen a lot of other better renders in games and in other tech demos. So while from the outset this isn't the most impressive render you've ever seen, but what's really interesting is in the details. Like I said, what Epic released is actually a character sample, meaning what you can do is if you have the Unreal launcher, you can download this and pick it apart yourself. You can play with the character model, see how it's rendered, see all the different layers.
Look at their boobs.
Look at their boobs. If it's a man, he doesn't have boobs. And maybe he does. And Epic in a statement specifically stated that they released this just to show people and get people excited and maybe teach more people about making and developing games. And I think that's freaking awesome. Not only that, but if you aren't trained enough to download and check out the file yourself, they've also released a diary that is a step-by-step breakdown of each and every individual layers, from how the hair is rendered to actual individual hair follicles and how the multiple layers of skin and opacity within them work. And it's just really interesting. We linked all this stuff that I talked about down in the description below, and it's a good read. I suggest you check it out. As someone who talks about games all the time, I try as hard as I can to understand how they're made, and I think this is pretty important. Not only that, but if you are into graphics, Unigine has released a new basically benchmarking porn. This is for Unigine 2. It's a new benchmarking superposition tech that is up to 8K and does a lot of interesting things with VR. If what I just said sounds like a bit of nonsense, and it kind of can be, there is a good read provided, and I suggest you check it out. Also, breaking news, hot off the press, following rumors and leaks and stuff, it looks like Call of Duty World War II is definitely absolutely a thing. We got this teaser image announcing the worldwide reveal on a gameplay stream next Wednesday, April 26th. And cool, sweet. Also, you notice you can see something in the soldier's eyes. I wonder if it's aliens. But in some less important news that doesn't matter at all, but if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, none of this matters at all. Ganondorf's last name has officially been reconfirmed by Nintendo. On the official Nintendo website, it lists Ganondorf as Ganondorf Dragonfire? Ganondorf Dragmire is his official name, and for some of you old folks out there, you may recognize that from the 1992 version of Link to the Past. The translation in the manual listed it as a surname, and they've brought it back. Officially, his name is Ganon Dragmire. This isn't really the biggest bombshell in the world. It's nothing compared to the reveal of Yoshi's official name, Yoshisor T. Munchakoopa?
Moochakoopa, I think. Munchakoopa.
Sounds like a weird word for oral sex. Last week, you may remember we talked about the leak for Battlefront 2, and of course that weekend during Star Wars Celebration, they officially revealed it. We've all seen it, we're all still skeptical. It does seem nice that EA is splitting up the single player and the multiplayer to two different teams, and I'd like to see the single player fleshed out to be a good campaign because I love Star Wars lore, but that's besides the point. I linked it below. Somebody compiled a bunch of new information that we have got that has been trickling out, including some information on dedicated servers this time around, the melee system being changed up to somewhat resemble Battlefield 1's, and some of the new character abilities, most notably Rey's, with the ability to disrupt and confuse nearby players with the Force, and Kylo Ren's ability to freeze and pull enemies towards him. You need a teacher! I can show you the ways of the Force! Also, there was a little bit of hullabaloo. Let's just never use that word ever.
There's a brouhaha.
There was a brouhaha. Also, there was a kerfuffle. Also, there was a thing about whether or not the game would have a season pass, which a lot of people really hated. One of the developers came out and said, "We learned our lesson. We won't have a season pass at all." And then EA quickly walked that back, saying, "Oh, we don't know what we're doing yet. We don't have plans either way." I would like very much for EA to hopefully have learned and release things differently this time around, but we don't know for sure. Honestly, we still have a lot more to see from this game, like some actual official gameplay. I'd like to see if there are some substantial changes to how the multiplayer works. Regardless though, I think the majority of us are still skeptical, and rightly so. We should be. I wouldn't run out and pre-order this game right now, come on. And also, you probably know every week we go in and we try and find something weird that someone made revolving around video games, and this week it's none other than Games Radar, who use that new face app to essentially give all those grumpy video game characters a smile, and it is the most dumb, awkward thing I've ever seen that actually looks pretty convincing. Kratos looks really weird. Big Boss is smiling, and that makes me feel really uncomfortable, not to mention Geralt looks weird. Regardless though, it's completely dumb. I just figured some of you guys would need a reason to smile. But something that is equally interesting and weird, hot off the heels of Nintendo canceling the NES Classic, Eurogamer reports a rumor that they are hard at work on a SNES Classic, so to speak, that is basically the same thing. Now, of course, they have stated that this makes sense, seeing as how the NES Classic is a powerful SoC that could also handle SNES emulation, so it makes complete sense. But of course, it still just comes off as a very questionable and weird move by Nintendo. Like I have said, they do have a plan, they do know what they're doing. It might not make sense to us, but they are thinking something with this, and honestly, it might seem to be just that they're going to release these things for a limited time, build up hype for them, and then pull the plug on them. I don't know if that's truly their intention, but that's definitely how it comes across. I've moved on, I'm using regular emulation and a Raspberry Pi now, and that's just as fun. But for a lot of people, these little accessible devices are cool if they can get their hands on them. And so many people wanted an NES Classic, and Nintendo couldn't keep up with the demand, and no one got their hands on them. And if that's the same thing for the Super Nintendo version, if it's real, that's a damn shame. Now, it is worth noting that Eurogamer also pointed out that this is going to release this holiday season. Could that be a thing? Could that really happen? Because this seems like this would be a hot holiday item that a lot of people would want to get. I don't know, it just feels really weird, and it definitely probably feels like a slap in the face to people who couldn't get their hands on an NES Classic who did want one. But it does lead to an interesting question, since they can't put every game on the SNES Classic that is rumored, what games would you guys want to see? Me personally, I would like, the old Spider-Man and X-Men games, which would be a licensing nightmare, but I would also really like to see some Smash TV. That would be nice to play again. What are you guys into? But as I promised, a follow-up from last week, Bandai Namco was teasing a new game with the hashtag Prepare to Dine. A lot of people thought it was going to be some sort of Bloodborne sequel or Bloodborne successor, and it turns out it's completely none of those things. They announced this new game called Code Vein as kind of like a little bit of a whimper, with just a few screenshots that do look interesting enough. It does look like a fun character-based action hack and slash type of game. The characters look interesting, the visuals look interesting. It is worth checking out, but it is not the Bloodborne 2 I was hoping it would be. But in some other news, I don't know if you guys caught this last week, but a police showdown occurred when a guy dressed up as an NCR Ranger from Fallout New Vegas went walking down the street in full cosplay. People called the police because he looked like a crazy armed man, obviously with a New California Republic flag and a bullet belt. People thought that he had a bomb on him, but it turned out he just had a really nice cosplay. And he was just simply on his way to a tailor to get his costume further tailored, but it turned into a police showdown with guns drawn and everything. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but you do hear about this stuff sometimes, and it is kind of crazy. I love the idea that certain things set people up, but certain things don't. Like, you could walk down the street with a keyblade and no one would give a shit. But lastly, just a nice little footnote on the week. Ashley Johnson, the actress who played Ellie from The Last of Us 2, tweeted an image of her and Troy Baker in full motion capture gear on the set, and production is full swing. They are working on The Last of Us 2, and I gotta say, that's pretty exciting. As someone who is skeptical of a Last of Us sequel, this is an exciting image to see. It's good to see the gang back together. Not only that, there's been a couple of other little images that have been trickling out from The Last of Us motion capture stuff, most notably someone riding on a makeshift horse. So, horse is confirmed, Last of Us 2. But now, of course, it's time for that console giveaway we do every week. You should know how this works by now. There's a link below, you click it, you enter to sign up, you sign up once and then you're entered forever, and then every single week we go in and randomly choose one winner to win a free console of their choice. And this week's winner is gonna be this guy right here. Congratulations, be sure to keep an eye on your inbox. I'm going to be getting in touch with you within the next few days to get your information and send you your console. But now we got to talk about all the video game stuff that has been going on this week. How do you feel about the future of video game graphics? Do you think that this Unreal Engine 4 stuff that is being put out is interesting? Do you think more people learning how to make games and understand games is a good thing? And also, that Super Nintendo Classic that is rumored, what games do you really want to see on that thing? And how do you feel about Ganondorf's last name? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Are you glad he has a last name? Do you think he puts it on his driver's license? Let's talk about anything video games down in the comments below. I'll be there talking to you guys as much as possible, but if you got any hate mail for me or anything, you can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino too. I know I probably sound like a broken record by now, but thank you guys so much for coming around every week to check out this dumb show we do. I'm actually looking at a whole table full of equipment for a new thing that I can't talk about yet. I think some of you guys are going to like it. It's happening kind of soon. I'm really excited, so keep your eyes peeled. But you guys know the deal. Clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we do really appreciate it. But subscribing if you're new is a good idea as well, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Pizza is upon me.